wake up and welcome to another episode of the MMA Monday, the OG back in your life. MMA Monday here for the Funkit Pod. And, well, first of all, thanks for not unsubscribing from my last week's sick episode with all the coughing and so on. I appreciate you're still here. If you haven't seen last week's episode, don't, or if you haven't listened to it, don't do it. Lots of coughing there, feeling much better. COVID is gone, hopefully, fingers crossed. And so let's just focus on what happened at UFC 270. What stories, because that's what we focus on here at the Funkit Pod, what stories can we take away from UFC 270? What's going to happen next? And of course, we also, once again, look at one championship, because one championship is going to rock the fight world, I guess, soon again this week on Friday. So let's look into this as well. But first, of course, we have to talk about UFC 270 and we have to talk about the main event, Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane. And the story, I don't need to rehash it. You're all familiar with it, of course. The story was clear. Ciryl Gane was the favorite, the guy who goes in there, walks around Francis Ngannou, outpoints him with strikes, maybe even gets him tired, and maybe even gets him out of there, just like he did with Derrick Lewis. Francis Ngannou, the champion, the underdog, found a way not only to survive, but, well, to come back from a 0-2 round deficit, clinched the last 3 rounds, and still the undisputed world heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou. The story here, of course, fantastic. Francis Ngannou first got this crazy backstory anyways, right? Shuffling like sand and landmines, sorry, no. It's a German thing, right? Like throwing stuff together, not landmines, the mines, sand mines, there you go, of Cameroon, right? And then making it to France, and then working his way up while training at the MMA factory and so on. Now wanting to box Tyson Fury, which is a terrible idea, of course, but great story. And then, of course, his former trainer hates him now, and there's this tension between the camps. So fantastic story. Also fantastic story that Francis Ngannou, who now trains with Kamaru Usman for the past 2 years, starts to wrestle Ciryl Gane. All fantastic. But again, I don't need to rehash that, because you listened to Joe Rogan talking about it. You watched like Brett Okamoto. You watched all the UFC embeddeds anyways. So let's focus on what's going to happen next. First of all, again, one more time, congratulations, Francis Ngannou. Fantastic game plan. And if it really was the game plan, get Ciryl Gane going, let him become confident, and then wrestle him. Fantastic. Awesome. That injury angle out of a wrestling, like professional wrestling, WWE kind of storybook, or AW. So I'm not sure how, I'm a bit with Chael Sonnen there. I'm not sure like how serious it really is. But then again, apparently Anthony Smith knew about it before, so maybe there's something to it. Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's a fantastic story now. Francis Ngannou is the champion. So the UFC has to have him on there for one more fight at the Champions Clause, right? I believe. So he probably has to fight one more time under like the UFC contract. But then he's gone. Not gone, but he's gone. Francis Ngannou will be gone. And from what we hear right now, he's definitely not happy with the UFC. And Tyson Fury tweeted at him like, hey, if you want to make some real money, come over. So there are 2 thoughts to it. I mean, he had a purse of $600,000, and then probably makes like $1 to $2 million with the pay-per-views, right? So, yes, does boxing make more money? Yes. Does Francis Ngannou make way more money than most of us? Yes. I understand the argument that fighters can do this their whole life, blah, 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 and so on. But so what? You chose to do this. I mean, do I need to feel like bad for you? No. Do I think that the company that benefits off the fighters should pay the fighters better? Yes. Do I think that I want to hear the fighters complain about that all the time? No. If you don't get a fighters union together, then that's your problem. I'm here working my 9 to 5 job or whatever jobs we have, the fans, and we're not complaining that we have to pay $75 to watch you guys. And $75 for us is probably more than $100,000 for you. So does it turn me off a little bit if I hear like people like Francis Ngannou say, I don't feel like I'm valued enough? Yeah. Do you understand where they come from? I do. But again, then have a fighters union. Do something. Don't just complain and whine. But it's just my 5 cents here. Back to what's happening next. So Cyril Gane goes back, needs to, get another contender, like another top 3 guy in there. Who's left? Curtis Blades, maybe. Cyril Gane fights Curtis Blades. He didn't fight Curtis Blades, right? Cyril Gane fights Curtis Blades. If he survives the Curtis Blades wrestling, then maybe he can call for another shot at the title again. For Francis, next fight should be Stipe because, let's be honest, John Jones will only keep tweeting and do nothing else anyways. That's the clear-cut path. I don't think there's anything else to do. After the Stipe fight, Francis Ngannou can go chase his dream with Tyson Fury, who will dismantle him within 5 rounds, I believe, unfortunately. And I like Francis Ngannou, but I don't think he's got anything to offer for Tyson Fury, who spit in there with the Bronze Bomber, and the Bronze Bomber, stupid name, couldn't take him down or couldn't take him out. So I don't think Francis Ngannou can. Okay, but that's that. Then we had the co-main event, the fight of the night. Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo. And yes, I was biased going to the fight because I don't like Deiveson Figueiredo. I don't like Henry Cejudo, and I really dislike, just from afar of course, Captain Eric. And I like Brandon Moreno's positivity. How can you not? So I think Brandon Moreno won. But I can also see how he didn't, especially around, was it 3 or 4, where he was swinging it around, but then Deiveson lands this overhand right, sits him down, and then has him like in a choke until the end of the round for the last few seconds. He stole it round with that one shot, and so yeah, I can see how Figueiredo gets it. So now we're looking forward to, and I hate this word as well, quadrilogy. So yeah, that's the next thing, the next best thing to do. I heard Brett Okamoto saying, oh, let's give those two something else to do. Like what? Who else is there? How can they? The next match is the rubber match. How can you move on before you have the rubber match? Do you want to like leave this out? And then what happens if Moreno loses to Pantoja? What if Figueiredo loses to whatever? Then you never get the rubber match? No. You do this. Mexico City, Brandon Moreno, or Brazil, somewhere in Brazil, Moreno versus Figueiredo. That's what you do next, and then it's done. Yes. There you go. And then Brandon Moreno wins, hopefully. Coco main event. The third fight from the top, Michel Pereira versus Andre Fialho. Last minute replacement, Andre Fialho did a great job in round 1. Sorry, pardon me. Great job in round 1. But then after that, Michel Pereira slowly found his groove, and in the end, it was an all Pereira. Way too many flying knees, Michel Pereira. Way too many flying knees. Sometimes like a 1-2 combo or 1-2-3-4 punch combo would probably suffice. You don't need to throw flying knees all the time, especially if they don't make sense. But congratulations, Michel Pereira. And what's next? Pereira now should fight like a ranked opponent, top 15. Andre Fialho, I think, was a great performance, especially for last minute replacement or short notice replacement. So he should be in there in the UFC now and fight someone else who's like close to the rankings, I believe. Cody Stamann versus Said Nurmagomedov. Yeah, that was nothing. Cody Stamann, right? Congratulations, Said Nurmagomedov, but we didn't really see much here. So Said Nurmagomedov now, next step, ranked opponent. Then that's it. Michael Morales, Trevin Childs. Trevin Childs looked really good for the first 45 seconds, but then, or the first, like maybe a minute or so. I don't know, about 2 minutes. He looked good for in the beginning. He looked good, but then Michael Morales took over, and then in the end it was just. Well, actually, let me take that back. Trevin Childs looked good for the most part, if I remember, of of the round, and then Michael Morales just towards the end of the round, towards the end of the finish, he took over with a nice counter shot, and then just followed up, and that was it. So too bad for Trevin Giles, but Michael Morales looks like he's like made out of granite. So like really chiseled young up and comer. So congratulations here. Well deserved. What's next here, of course, also Michael Morales. Then maybe gets slowly gets a ranked opponent already, because Trevin Giles is kind of a name actually there. And Trevin Giles has to probably reevaluate a little bit. But to be honest, he looked really good here. Just made that one mistake, overreaching. So I think he's got one more bout before he has to worry, because he did look good actually. Yeah, do we have anything in the prelims to discuss? Yeah, of course we have. We had Raoni Barcelos versus Victor Henry. Victor Henry, last minute replacement also here. No one knows him. First fight in the UFC, puts on a show against Barcelos and gets the victory. And well deserved. I hate the hair, Victor Henry. But I'm just jealous. Well deserved, fantastic performance. This should have been a 50G too, by the way, Dana White. This should have been 50Gs. Also great performance by Jack. What's next? Victor Henry stays in the UFC, gets another maybe name-ish opponent, and then can prove himself. He was the biggest underdog on the card, by the way. Then we had Jack Della Maddalena versus Pete Rodriguez. Also short notice for Pete Rodriguez. I think 2 weeks or so notice. Jack Della, or no, not even, because Jack Della Maddalena apparently didn't even know who's fighting when he got onto the plane in Western Australia. It was all Jack Della Maddalena in his first UFC fight. Then a nice hook that was the beginning of the end for Pete Rodriguez. So congratulations, Jack Della Maddalena. Next slowly building up there, so there's no like jumping into like next like ranked opponents or anything like this. Overall, there weren't that many big stars besides the 2 main events, of course, but the fights were really good. As it is so often the case, the fights sometimes are just better when they're not just the big names. You don't expect too much, and then it all goes down really nicely. The stories out of UFC 270, of course, Francis Ngannou, the contract dispute, Dana White not putting the belt around Francis and not being at the press conference afterwards because he was butthurt apparently. So that's the stories coming out of UFC 270. This weekend there's no UFC fight night, so it's going to be in the week after. So we're going to look into this then after that. So in the next week, in our next MMA Monday. For now, the main story still Francis, and of course, is John Jones going to be done tweeting at some point? Will he ever fight, or will he only keep running his mouth? Those are the questions that we have coming out of UFC 270. When we now jump over to one championship, there you go. Okay, now I just opened the card. One championship this Friday. We have City Chai as the main event. City Chai from Thailand, of course. Featherweight Kickboxing World Grand Prix semi-final versus David Kiria. I think David Kiria is also based in Thailand by now, isn't he? He fights a lot here, at least. Hailing from Georgia, of course, but he's been on many cards, also in Singapore for one championship. So City Chai is just a household name in Muay Thai. It's kickboxing though, so it's always a little bit different when Thai fighters, Muay Thai fighters go into kickboxing and then they take away the elbows and the clinch and so on. David Kiria just has looked pretty good in his last fights, at least the ones that I saw. I'm trying to remember if there are any fights that I forget, but he did look always very good, like very active, good basic. I was about to say Muay Thai kickboxing, if I remember correctly. So, but I can of course almost never root against a Thai fighter. So I'm backing and picking City Chai here. Wouldn't be surprised if David Kiria takes it, because, as I said, the few fights I remember from David Kiria were really, really solid. So there you go. Co-main event, Featherweight Kickboxing World Grand Prix semi-final part 2. Smoking Joe Nadawat from Thailand again versus, pardon me, Chingiz Alasov, who hails from Azerbaijan, Belarus. Chingiz Alasov also been kind of like a mainstay already in one championship a little bit in like kickboxing, Muay Thai. So it's been Joe Nadawat. Joe Nadawat is like the boxing guy in Muay Thai, or in kickboxing now too. So he relies on his hands quite a lot. I don't really like his style. Is like fan friendly because he just marches forward and wants to throw hands, but it's not that technical, so I don't like it that much. Alasov also like very solid basics, if I remember correctly. I remember seeing 2 fights, I think. But again, Jonathan, like he always has the ability to sit you down with like just one punch, which is kind of impressive also for a Thai fighter, because Thai fighters usually aren't that strong build. No offense. Of course, also going for Joe, Smoking Joe, because Susu Prate Thai, Susu Thailand. We have Kim Jae Wong in featherweight MMA versus Tang Kai. It's about time for Tang Kai to show up, I believe. No offense, if he sees me, he doesn't know who I am, but I mean, if we would end up in the same gym, he obviously would kick my ass, no questions asked. But his last fight wasn't that great, so I think there's some pressure now on Tang Kai. We also have Ruslan Emil Baigulu versus Sang Li Peng, and that's hard for me because when I prepared here again, I tried to find some highlights, and the highlights were really short for both fighters. There was not much to actually look into. And the highlights, of course, are like highlights. So it's really hard to judge for me just based on the footage. I have to sit this one out. The one that I don't sit out is heavyweight kickboxing. Rade Opacic versus Francesco, and I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm sorry, from Albania. Rade Opacic, of course, like it's a household name in kickboxing. He's been around for a while, always at the top. If he's on, he's on. So I think he also knows that this is like, he doesn't get 100 more chances here. So I think he knows that, and he's going to try to utilize his chance again this time around. So to make a statement, so I think that's Rade Opacic's time to make a statement here. Okay. That's it. That's it for now. When we look into like the fights I want to break down for the upcoming event. With one championship, it's similar to UFC though. Like just because you don't know the fighters doesn't mean the fights aren't going to be fun. Very often it's like the less known fighters, they are there to put on a show. So I wouldn't say like don't watch it. I'd say go watch it and be entertained also by the fights of the fighters that you don't know. One thing that we also saw this week though, before we finish and wrap up, is Angela Lee, the champion, the women's champion, strawweight women's champion MMA, is getting ready for her fight in March against Stamp Fatix, the World Grand Prix winner, of course, from Thailand, Team Stamp. And she's been interviewed by the South China Morning Post. Good job as always, SCMP. And I'm not sure if I believe her that she's taking Stamp serious. I mean, she said all the right things, like, yeah, it's good to know who's my next opponent, and yeah, I watched Stamp, and I'm getting ready with game planning and so on. And yeah, I believe it, that they're game planning, that they're getting ready for like a striking battle with Stamp. Stamp probably gonna try to get ready for some jiu-jitsu battles with Angela Lee. But somehow the body language, the posture, I don't know. It looks like she thinks but maybe I'm just reading way too much into it. And but it just looks like, I'm not sure if she's really taking it serious. I don't know. But maybe I'm totally wrong, and Angela Lee is more determined than ever to show us that she still got it. So who knows? I'm looking forward to the fight, definitely. So that's just maybe me reading too much into like a little bit of body language in an interview after training, for example. Who knows? Anyways, that's it for this week's MMA Monday here on the Funget Pod. As always, don't forget, first of all, to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, hit the subscribe button, rate this podcast, because if you rate it, more people can find it. And if more people find it, we can have bigger, longer, more intense discussions. And secondly, as always, don't forget to always keep your guard up. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see and talk to you soon. Sawadee Krap.